Guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on our YouTube account. And as we know, AFK Arena has been around 3+ years at this point. In mobile gaming and gacha gaming, that is an incredible lifetime. But what is the future of AFK Arena going to hold? We know over the past year, guys, we've seen the Awakened Heroes making a big impact within AFK Arena. The engraving system coming out. We have also seen the addition of beasts and a lot more things, including the Temple Rift, the Grand Hunt. And again, I'm thinking about the last year and a half of what we have seen, and there's been an incredible amount of content. But with that being said, guys, what is the future of AFK Arena? What are some updates that we want to talk about today? I'm going to go through a list that came up on AFK Inside. Now, they did have a meeting over in China with I believe some of the content creators, some of the developers, some of the Lilith staff that really facilitated a pretty cool meeting for the fate of AFK Arena and what is going to be coming. I'm also going to give you kind of my insight of the logic and the reason I want to see it, and also some additional things that I would love to see come to this game that I know we've talked about before, but definitely wanted to cover them again. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, guys, so here we have it. So possible future updates. Now, this was kind of the topic of discussion when it came to the meeting that they had. Very cool to see. Now, this is from AFK Inside, so this is actually a translation from Russian to English. So again, I'm going to kind of cliff note it a little bit. So number one, Resonating Crystal for Beasts. Now we know in AFK Arena, when you hit level 240, the Resonating Crystal does unlock, meaning that every single hero that you possess within the Resonating Crystal is going to be the exact same level. To me, this is an incredible idea when it comes to beasts. This would essentially eliminate the difficulty to build them based on the beast level. I'm not sure if it's going to be, let's say, 2 beasts or maybe 3 beasts that you have to have at a certain level. For instance, if I had 3 beasts up to, let's say, level 6, I could unlock the Resonating Crystal, suddenly making all of my beasts level 6. And going forward, I would actually just push those levels into the Resonating Crystal versus building out specific beasts. Now that, again, is an absolute game changer when it comes to the beast, guys. It would be very cool to see with a change like this. I feel like with the impact that beasts have within the Twisted Realm, the Cursed Realm PvP aspect, this would be a big change with beasts and how they are actually built. Now, of course, new guild events, this has been the absolute biggest focus that I feel like AFK Arena has completely missed on the guild events, is really the camaraderie, really the guild events. We need a lot more guild events. A lot of other games do this incredibly well. In the concept, it is similar to Guild War. Now, if you're an old school AFK Arena player, we used to do Guild Wars. I believe they got rid of it like 2 years ago. It was kind of tough because you had a couple guilds, of course, that are comprised of the whales, whether it be B&B, whether it be Kilbyross, a bunch of other guilds that literally just dominate this whole entire event and got all of the loot. They're going to have to do something based on, let's say, combat rating, depending on where you're going to sit within the Guild War, has to be more strategic. So they really do have to figure out methodology behind it that is going to allow players in smaller guilds, or even players that are not so familiar or haven't been playing AFK Arena or not quite on the Whale Avenue, that they can still be somewhat effective within this Guild War. And again, might be a tiered system, could be a lot of different things in here. We see it a lot with the LC tournament where it's individuals that are playing. Guild aspect would be cool. Even if you did like 5-man teams, 10-man teams, 20-man teams, whatever, that way you could also get some participation when it comes to some of these smaller guilds. Now, in addition to the guild events similar to Guild Wars, I still want to see guild bosses, guys. Bosses that are a collaborative effort that reward loot based on the damage done. We've seen it in Idle Heroes. We've even seen it right now in Eternal Evolution, that the bosses are cumulative. I believe in there's like 20 or 30 bosses, guys. My guild has got 5 or 6 bosses down at this point, but every single cycle, all of the bosses are renewed. You have to kill boss 1 to kill 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, until you get to the point where you can take out these bosses because your strength has gotten to the point of getting not only a lot of loot for taking out the bosses, but also strategically going in there and figuring out which players are going to take out which bosses. Because if I can save and utilize one attempt for one player to take out a boss, it's a lot better than having 3 players use 3 attempts, again, being a lot more strategic within that boss event. Now, the Awakened Heroes. New Awakened Heroes will also be released next year. This is confirmation that we are going to have the Awakened Heroes. A lot of players were questioning if after this time, the Awakened Heroes were going to be gone. We did a full cycle through all the factions. Are there going to be Awakened Heroes? Yes. There will be Awakened Heroes with approximately 2 months apart. That is the similar schedule that we've seen so far. 2 to 3 months has been kind of the staple for the Awakened version of Heroes. Now, one thing, and I like they address this, since all faction towers have already received the quests with Emblems of Time, if you're similar to me, some of the floors you've pushed 700-800 floors in the faction towers, we have already gotten all of those emblems out of the faction towers, which in turn would make it essentially a lot more difficult to get those time emblems going forward with new heroes, because the faction towers are not going to drop them as frequently. But you can see new ones being added, new ways to get the emblems. That is another thing that we absolutely need, guys. We need the opportunity to get additional emblems. I mean, at this point, we have, what, 6 Awakened Heroes? If they're adding them 2 months apart, we have to have a method to get some of these emblems so we can continue building out these heroes, because now, again, we have confirmation that they are going to continue. Now, Hotel Oak Grove, the number of floors will be increased, which we know right now it's capped at 25. Most of the factions have hit the point of already having 25 heroes in there. So we actually have some cross-contamination of the hotel in there between the factions. It's a real funny way to think of it. But overall, we need more floors in there. As we continue to get more heroes, they are going to increase the floor, which of course we need. Now, with that being said, guys, the Oak Inn or the Oak Grove or the Whale Inn, whatever you want to call it, needs a way to get more Poe coins. As we continue to increase the number of heroes, we need more loot. We need more loot out of different game modes. Even if you're going through and you're spending an incredible amount of money, it's still difficult for a lot of players to keep up, because not only do we have the heroes, now we have the beasts, now we have to build out a lot of them. And if you've seen even probably the last 6 to 12 heroes we've seen within AFK Arena, furniture has been really big, and also the engraving factor has been really big. So giving us access to additional loot within there would be very cool to see. Time Rift mode will be adjusted. Temporal Rift, overall, guys, the Rift mode is incredibly time consuming. We know with the one coming up, you're actually going to have to, you can run it, auto run it. But again, if you're playing AFK Arena on a mobile phone, if you're playing it on a data plan, if you're playing it on anything like the Time Rift, you almost need to run the Time Rift automatically, even if you're not playing the game. Not only the difficulty of it is right now you almost run into brick walls during different parts of this. So once you get to a certain level, boom, it stops until you gain 2, 3, 4 levels, actually the physical levels within the Temple Rift to get the higher level badges, when they're tiered to the mythic badges, when they're tiered to the legendary badges, when it's tiered to the ascended badges. It is really a game changer when you get to the point of being able to get those higher level badges, or excuse me, those higher level beacons, and also, yeah, the badges in there makes a big difference. There has to be some adjustment to the sheer time consumption. I probably honestly spend more time within the Temple Rift getting 700 floors done than I spend the entire Abyssal Expedition, which is incredibly crazy. But again, the Temple Rift takes a lot of time, and it was very, very difficult to auto run that game mode. Added the ability to select a specific difficulty, so that's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play that. Overflowing with resources. With regards to overflowing the inventory with resources, some exchange systems will be launched next year. Now, this is one thing that they definitely need to be doing, guys. There are some resources that we're not really utilizing as much that are overflowing in the inventory, like gear, for instance. It seems like gear needs to be converted to a lot of different things to really use it as stones, use it as, there has to be something for some of the gear that we're getting in here, or some of the resources that we're not using. So there is going to be exchange systems launching next year, which would be very cool. So some details that are subject to change. In the future, we'll update the products in each store. Absolutely, guys. This is something we've needed for a considerable amount of time. The products, the ability to get products out of the store, even using gold, you get to a point where I know gold is very difficult to get, and then you'll get to a point where gold you actually don't use really at all anymore. It's just an accumulation with nothing to spend. And again, they can add different things in the store that you can purchase, or even giving you the ability to get, let's say, just out of like time emblems for the diamonds. If there was an option to get gold using time emblems, if you could just buy them, if you could utilize gold to get, let's say, red chests out of there, let's say you could use gold to get some of your baits to go ahead and catch those pets. There could be a lot of different things in there. Changes will be made to the tournament legend so more players have possibility to participate in battles. The PvP aspect of this game has been dominated forever. It really needs to be tiered into different tournaments, and I've said this for a while now, different tournament levels based on player level or based on combat rating. If I have a combat rating of 10 billion and I'm fighting a player with a combat rating of 50 billion, chances are I'm not going to win that battle, guys. Just the sheer levels do not make sense when it comes to, I'm at level 660 and the other player's on level 710, 750, whatever it may be. There has to be some changes in here to really do combat rating to combat rating. I've never even gotten past the first phase of the tournament because, again, the competition, the player is so much stronger than I am. There's not even a way to compete just based on the combat rating. Change the way packs are tested on the boss expedition. The AE, guys, is a huge part of this game, and they have made it that way. Change the way that you can kind of test it. Pretty cool. Game will be able to work in the background or smaller windowed mode. Again, just kind of a little quality life, and optimize the collection of players' opinions. Improve VIP sets and codes. Overall, the VIP sets were pretty solid. Codes, I could see that. I mean, the codes, literally, if you get the VIP codes like a lot of players do, the codes will give you like 10 faction scrolls and 2,000 essence. Not going to make a game changer at all. But now if I got maybe some red chests, some engraving mats, maybe some baits out of there, the VIP sets and the codes could definitely make a very, very big difference. So guys, overall, super excited to see some of the possibilities, what is coming to AFK Arena. Again, with a game that has been here 3 years plus, it's crazy to see how much it has grown. I mean, to the original game where we didn't even have signature items, anything of that nature. It was literally just a basic four gear hero. We didn't have tier stones. We didn't have any of that. Again, years ago, it was incredibly basic. And now to see the complexity of where this game has come today. All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.